Hey everybody, it's Gamer Grampz here. Today we're talking about one of the Civ 6 new civilizations that we just got a first sneak peek at of today, Gaul. I've managed to pack quite a bit of info in here from a little 2-minute first look video, so let's just jump into things, shall we? Alright, so the first thing to quickly mention, if you're in a rush or you just want to see how things are, if we jump into any of the videos here, if you jump down here to the comment section, if you look at the top, there's always timestamps that are pinned there, so you can just jump through the video as much as you'd like, or if you prefer, if you're on a computer for sure, but I think it works with mobile too if you use your finger. But anyways, if you highlight the mouse over the time bar here, you can see that it's all divided up into chapters, and you can see what those chapters are if you want to jump specifically to a section, or you're in a rush, or even if you come back afterwards and you want to like retouch on a certain point again, it's easy for you to do. Anyways, enough of that, let's just jump into things here. Alright, so we're going to cover Gaul point by point in just a minute, but I'm going to do my best to keep this video simple and straightforward. I actually did a deep dive into Byzantium that turned out to be a 50-minute theory crafting extravaganza, and although informative, was a huge investment of time on my part. If you are interested in seeing me do a follow-up video to this one where we do the same for Gaul, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be going over suggestions and strategies for both the early game tech and civic trees, general strategies, and suggestions for how I think they'd be most effectively played, as well as analyzing the different secret societies I think would be best and how I would go about playing each one of them. And then on top of that, I'd finish up by giving you suggestions for how to open up your game as far as governors are concerned, and which ones and what promotions to take, etc. for both secret societies and standard gameplay. So like I said, if that does sound like it's something that you'd want to watch, leave me a comment below, and if there's enough interest, I'd be happy to put something together. For now, I'll let the Gaul first look video quickly play in case you haven't seen it yet, or just want to have it fresh in your mind as we go through the rest of the video. Side note, that music is epic, and I think I might actually risk the copyright strike by turning the game music back on when I start my playthrough with them Friday on Twitch.
Ambiorix leads Gaul in Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Far more than just a king of the north, Ambiorix was known as the king in all directions. He ruled the Eburones tribe in what is now Belgium. Gaul's powerful, unique ability is called Hallstatt culture. It allows mines to provide a minor adjacency bonus for all districts, culture bomb unknown territory, and grant additional culture. The downside to this power is that specialty districts cannot be built next to the city center and do not receive adjacency bonuses from other districts. Gaul's unique unit is called the Gaesatae. It replaces the warrior and receives additional combat strength when fighting stronger units and district defenses, but is more expensive to train. Gaul's unique district is called the Oppidum. It's not only cheaper and available earlier than the industrial zone, but also unlocks the apprenticeship technology when constructed. Highly defensible, it offers its own ranged attack and receives a major adjacency bonus from quarries and strategic resources. Ambiorix's ability is called King of the Eburones. It grants Gaul additional culture based on unit cost when a non-civilian unit is trained. It also gives melee, anti-cavalry, and ranged units bonus combat strength for every adjacent combat unit. Gaul's focus is on a defensive, culture, and production-centered game. Prioritize border expansion early so you have room to build districts far from the city center. Claim as many mines as possible to fuel this expansion with Gaul's culture bombing ability. Place the Oppidum to guard valuable resources in your sprawling city. Also, consider rushing military tradition for flanking bonuses, which can combine with Gaul's horde-based combat buffs to forge a truly formidable army. Will you undermine your enemies to reign in all directions? How will you lead Gaul in Sid Meier's Civilization 6?
Anyway, now that the video is out of the way, let's get back to Gaul here and start combing through their civilization. Off the top of my head, going into this, I can say that while I think Gaul will be a nice change of pace and have some interesting and unique playstyle, they definitely are not as strong as Byzantium, not even remotely close. I'll get into that with you later though as we go through things, so by that point it should be easier for you to understand why I feel this way. So first off, we have their leader Ambiorix. Let's just get this out of the way. He looks badass, and I love the unit design of their Gaesatae unit, as well as the design of the Oppidum district as well. What do you think about them though? I know this wasn't the leader a lot of people were expecting, but the dev's choice is a blessing in disguise as far as I'm concerned, because pronunciation, if you don't know by now, is my kryptonite, and that other one sounded like it would be a nightmare to learn how to say. Ambiorix's unique ability is King of the Eburones, so let's take a look at that and I'll expand on it more. It reads, your civilization gains culture equal to 20% of the unit's cost when a non-civilian is trained. Melee, anti-cavalry, and ranged units receive +2 combat strength for every adjacent combat unit. Alright, to me this sounds like a great ability. Both of the different bonuses are strong in their own way and synergize well with the overall theme of the Civ. I'm honestly loving how all of the new Frontier Passes civilizations are all synergized, and although Gaul might not be the most powerful civilization, it definitely is synergized and has very unique mechanics and playstyle. Getting 20% of a unit's cost when trained is huge. This will definitely make your journey down the civic tree in the early game go a lot faster as you work to get your first armies out and start your domination of the world. Not to mention getting to military tradition quickly so that you can stack the combat strength bonuses you get from flanking and support with the natural bonuses that Gaul's units have should definitely be top of your priority list. On top of that, it'll make getting to the military training civic that much faster to get the veterancy policy card for the +30% boost to both encampments and their buildings, not to mention the raid policy card for boosting your plunder yields, the mercenary civic so you can upgrade your units cheaper, and also help you get to your second tier government that much faster, whether you prefer Merchant Republic or Monarchy. I'd highly recommend you go with the Merchant Republic since you'll most likely be going down the top of the civic tree anyway to get the things I just mentioned. Plus, the gold boost is nice in domination games to help keep your armies upgraded, and the +15% production boost towards districts help you get your encampments and the other things in your founding cities faster, as well as getting campuses, theater squares, and commercial hubs in the enemy cities you decide to keep rather than burn. I would have also said harbors, but yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit here. The draw for Monarchy is that you unlock the chivalry policy card to help you crank out knights and cursors faster, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on the real power of the colonial offices policy card, which you unlock with exploration in Merchant Republic. The +3 loyalty bonus and also the +15% boost to growth is a wet dream when it comes to holding on to enemy cities when they have big loyalty problems. The increased wildcard policy slot gives you more flexibility and doesn't pigeonhole you as much as Monarchy does. Whichever one you decide to go with, getting there faster is also huge for another reason. It lets you build your next building in the government plaza, which gives you another governor title. Play however you want, but I definitely recommend the Grandmaster's Chapel. Even if you don't have a faith economy, you definitely earn a lot of faith when pillaging in your wars, so this is a convenient way to spend them other than buying builders and traders if you have a monumentality golden age going. And don't forget, the faith that you'll generate is a bonus, so you'll still get the normal science or gold or whatever that you would for pillaging the units, and you can increase the amount you get by using the raid policy card we already mentioned earlier, but then also as you get further in the game, when you unlock the Scorched Earth Civic, it comes with the Total War policy card, which gives you even more loot from pillaging. To me, the quote-unquote when a non-civilian is trained part of it makes me think that this will also apply to units you straight up purchase with gold as well, since technically they are trained and do receive the bonuses you get if you have your encampments upgraded with barracks or stables, etc. However, this obviously is just speculation at this point, so you have to find out for yourself when you get your hands on Gaul in 2 days. The next part of the King of the Eburones ability gives melee, anti-cav, and ranged units +2 combat strength for every adjacent combat unit. I'm a little confused by this screenshot from the first look video though, because the spearman is receiving +12 combat strength and he only has 4 units adjacent to him, even counting the barbarian. But maybe this was from a previous working build they had where it was going to be just a straight up +12 or something. But yeah, either way, this +2 thing is great and will definitely make it easier to negate the natural -4 combat strength penalty you receive on D&D difficulty. You receive on DD difficulty, and just overall is a nice little perk in my opinion. Moving on, next up to bat is Gaul's Hallstatt culture ability. It reads, mines provide a major adjacency bonus for all districts, a culture bomb of unowned territory, and receive +1 culture. Specialty districts do not receive a minor adjacency for being adjacent to another district, and these districts cannot be built adjacent to the city center. Alright, so I definitely have mixed feelings about this. Obviously, the +1 culture and the culture bombing aspect is great for getting down the civic tree fast, which is a huge deal for the reasons we already went over, as well as expanding your borders really quickly, which will make it a lot easier to work awesome tiles in your second and third rings really fast, as well as saving a ton of gold on purchasing tiles as you progress through the game. However, and this is a big however, the downside of this ability has huge ramifications and is a big part of the reason that I don't think Gaul is going to be a top tier civ. Again, this is obviously speculation, and maybe when we get our hands on them Thursday, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but for now, I'll explain the reasons behind my current outlook on them. They are going to be very map dependent. I think even more so than the Mayans, which is basically the only thing that really holds them back from being considered a top tier civ. The part of not being able to place districts adjacent to your city isn't a big concern of mine, since most likely your first 2 districts you place with Gaul are going to be the encampment, which can't be adjacent to the city to begin with, and then their Oppidum district, which you'll obviously want to have next to as many quarries and any strategics you've unlocked the visibility for early in that game. On that note though, I do think it's important that you get both animal husbandry and also bronze working as fast as you can so that you can make the most informed decisions possible for some crazy powerful production adjacency boosts. The only part about not being able to place a district next to your cities that concerns me is that I assume that obviously this includes aqueducts as well, which limits your settling options for your base 3 to 5 cities before starting your world domination. I guess also I'm a little concerned about what happens with this when you take over enemy cities. I mean, for instance, with the Mayans again, plantations turn into badly placed campuses when you take them over. But now, what happens when you conquer a city that has its districts adjacent to the city or has aqueducts? Do we lose them entirely? Do we get to replace them where we want with our new restrictions but have them autocomplete? Time will tell, I guess. Good thing Thursday isn't exactly a long wait. Personally, my only biggest concern and why Gaul is going to be so map dependent is because you need mines for decent campuses and commercial hubs, which isn't always an option because you don't always have a lot of hills in your games. I assume they are obviously going to have a start bias for hills, but I mean, as you go on, your options might not be so readily available depending on the map that you spawn. Not to mention, it limits the ability to have a good harbor adjacency bonus, both because you need hills for the mines, but also because you automatically are disqualified from the +2 major adjacency that the harbor gets for being placed next to a city. I think the devs should have given a minor adjacency bonus to farms as well, but let them alone other than that. This would completely take away the only real reason your experience with Gaul will depend so heavily on how much RNGs decide to favor you when spawning your map. Anyway, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. Even though they'll be map dependent and thus limits their power considerably, they definitely look like they'll be a load of fun to play. For instance, my personal favorite civilization in the game is the Mali, who are a very map dependent and definitely aren't in the top tier list of civs, but their unique gameplay mechanics are just crazy fun as a change of pace from the other civilizations in the game. Onward and forward, let's take a little closer look at Gaul's unique unit, the Gaesatae. It reads, Gallic unique ancient era unit that replaces the warrior. This unit has increased cost and receives +10 combat strength when fighting units with the higher base combat strength, +5 combat strength versus district defenses. Alright, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this unit's features. I was honestly a little skeptical when we found out they were going to have a unique warrior back when the devs did the September patch preview. The +10 combat strength is huge, as it makes them essentially a swordsman that you start the game with, as in most situations they will have 30 combat strength pretty early, which puts them just 6 shy of a swordsman, of an actual swordsman. When you factor in the added combat strength bonus from the King of the Eburones, from the King of the Ambiorix ability all Gaul's units receive, these little bad boys are going to be nightmares to deal with right from turn 1. They definitely give Monty's Eagle Warriors a good run for the money for the best unique warrior unit in the game. Speaking of Eagle Warriors, if we look at their production cost and gold cost, I'm assuming our own Gaesatae will have identical stats as far as like gold and production, but again, you'll have to wait 2 days before finding that out for sure. Last but not least, we have the Oppidum district. It reads, a district unique to Gaul that is cheaper and available earlier than the district it replaces, the industrial zone. The Oppidum district is defensible with a ranged attack. When the first Oppidum is constructed, the apprenticeship technology is unlocked. +2 production bonus if adjacent to a quarry, improvement, or strategic resource. Alright, this is an amazing district with huge potential. It also fits in perfectly with the King of the Eburones ability that gives the 20% culture boost when making military units. My biggest, and for that matter, only real concern is that obviously if we can't place aqueducts in our cities, we lose another +2 production boost to them. However, that really isn't the end of the world. We can definitely still get the boost from dams. So the dream setup to these would be adjacent to a dam for one tile, and then as many quarries and strategics as possible from the other tiles, with hopefully hills to fill in the other slots. Anyway, back to the great stuff this thing does. Being available earlier than apprenticeship is already good enough on its own, but when you couple that with granting the entire apprenticeship tech itself, that's amazing. Not only can you immediately start building a workshop in the Oppidum right away, this also gives you a big production boost as well, because you instantly receive the +1 production from all mines across your empire. And this boost just gets better the longer you go, because you'll obviously be prioritizing lots of mines to take advantage of the culture boost as well as the land grabbing abilities on top of that. The building being defensible with the ranged attack isn't an amazing boost for me personally, but it will definitely help you defend yourself easier from early game aggression, which is always nice, and I know a lot of players struggle with that, especially when you first get up to DD and are just getting accustomed to the increased challenges you'll face. With that being said, this is actually pretty cool because in the video it shows that the district actually defends itself and you don't need a unit inside of it. I'm assuming you still need to get to city walls for this to start working, but that's obviously just a guess at this point. And then when you get to the late game and grab the steel tech, it should also get a huge boost in defense as well as damage output. But I mean, maybe it can start shooting as soon as it's placed, who knows? As I've said so often already, it's a good thing you don't have a long wait before you can find out for yourself. So if you're watching this on a computer or from the actual YouTube app on your whatever mobile device you have, I'll put a link right now in the top right hand corner to that really deep dive I talked about with Gaul. However, it's not up at the current moment, so in the meantime what I'll link you to is a tutorial video I did showing you an easy way that you can actually earn up to 19 different Eureka's and civic inspirations if you're interested in finding out more about that. Otherwise though, we definitely have reached the end of the video here. This is about as much information as I could extract out of the 2-minute first look video. If you enjoyed it, please do me a favor and leave a like down below if you haven't already. It really does go a long way towards helping a small channel like me grow. Better yet though, if you think this might help somebody out or they might be interested in hearing more about my opinions and strategies, etc., then definitely share it with them directly or in a Discord community or Facebook group, that kind of thing. Anyways, I've rambled on enough, at least for this video, so I'm just going to shut up now and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.